Welcome to Deep River Farm, folks. I appreciate you joining me this evening. I've had a few viewers reach out, email me. Some of them's commented, and they've all had the same question. They said, I'm getting ready to build me some raised beds, or I'm getting ready to put me a garden in due to the high cost of groceries in the store and everything, but I really just don't know where to put it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll just go over that right quick, because there's a lot of mistakes that are made when deciding where you're going to put your raised beds or where you're going to put that garden. And a lot of people have limited space. So it's depending on how serious you are on how bad you want this stuff to be a benefit to you. And that's got to do with the cost of the groceries and everything. So I'm going to tell you that the biggest mistake people make is deciding on where they're going to put their garden, because a lot of them say, well, I'll just put it out at the back, right up next to the trees, or right up next to the fence, or you know, somewhere like that. I'll get it out of the way. I don't want it in the center of the backyard, but I just need to get it out of the way. Well, folks, that's the worst thing you can do. A garden needs 8 to 12 hours of sunshine a day to make it worthwhile. If you're going to do all that work in putting in a garden, you need to make sure that you're going to benefit as much as possible from all your hard work. So why would you go stick it in a place in the back corner of the garden? Well, let's talk about what's in the back corner of the garden. Let's say you got a piece of property and you want to put it on the very back corner of the back there where the fence is at. Maybe you got a big old wooden fence, 6 foot tall. Well, you could have a problem there, especially if the sun comes up over here and you got this fence here and you got your garden on this side of it. Well, it's going to be a while before that sun gets up. Got to get straight up before it gets those rows right next to your fence. So you're in way too much shade for that, and you can't get adequate stuff. Now, if that fence happens to be a brick wall or have a concrete around it, guess what? That sucks all the moisture out of your ground, drawing it into that concrete. All the heat off of those bricks or that wooden fence or that vinyl fence, there's heat coming off of that thing. Well, guess what? That heat dries up your plants, dries up your dirt, and you got a problem there. Well, what if you're on the back corner and you're next to your property line and you got a bunch of overhanging trees? Well, guess what? Those trees, they produce shade. Shade stunts the growth. It also sucks the moisture out of the ground from your garden. It also drops acid on your garden. They can drop limbs, which can damage your plants if they come up decent. And you're always adding lime and a lot of other nutrients just constantly, because the trees suck all the nutrients and things out of the ground. And heaven forbid if you put it next to an area where you got a cow pasture or something like that, because a lot of times the farmer over there, he has to spray for weeds under his fencing to keep from the weeds from growing up and getting into his electric fence. So he's spraying that. Well, that overspray can get on your garden. So there's a lot of things you got to look at. Just if you're going to throw it in the back corner, you better make sure you got sunlight, you're free of trees. If you're in the ground gardening, you got to make sure you got some good ground over there. You can't just run a tiller through the ground and throw some seeds in there and expect it to grow. You know, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. You want to make sure you feed the soil and not the plant, because if your soil's right, your plants will grow. You don't want to be like a nursery does. They feed those plants from the top down. They get them as big as they can, and then when you get them home and throw them in the ground, they so used to getting all that nitrogen and all that food from the top down, and you put them in some bad ground, guess what's going to happen? That's going to die. So you ain't going to have much there. So your location of your garden is very critical to your success. if you don't put it in a good spot and your ground ain't right, you're gonna be in a mess. Now you can put a raised bed anywhere you need to, and you can put in this leaf compost like I do called black gold. You can get, most of the time you can get that stuff for free or near about free, where it would cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars to fill up raised beds like these with bulk topsoil. And there's no regulation, folks, on what topsoil is classified. That's just a figure. It's not regulated. So those bags of topsoil you may be buying may not be real topsoil. It could be a mixture, and it may not be any at all. So you're at the mercy of the honesty of the person that bagged it. So just for your information there. But I wanted to go over today about what you run into if you don't properly put your garden in the right spot, and what your outcomes may be, and that sort of thing. Now we're going to be having some videos here shortly on growing by the almanac, and I've got one too that I'm doing a lot of research on that I'm going to try to get out possibly tomorrow. And I think you folks is going to be right up your alley, because it's got to do with these high-flying tankers that goes overhead, and they drop all this white-looking stuff out, and we're going to talk about that and what it's doing to the soil, to the water, to the aquatic life, and to the plants, and to our health. And you don't want to miss that. So the name of that's going to be called "They Spraying Us Like Roaches." So you don't want to miss that. But I appreciate you joining me today here on Deep River Farm, as we've talked about where to put your garden and what the outcomes may be if you put it in the wrong place. Another thing I want to quickly add is you want to try to get your garden too where you're going to be, like in my area, the sun comes up right over here, and as it swings around, I got no obstacles whatsoever, so I got direct sunlight. So you want all of that gardening to be coming from the south side, all that sunshine. That's going to be your best. I just happened to remember that and thought I'd throw that in. So if you can get your garden where you can get it all run around here, where the sun's going to be coming in from the south, you'll be better. And you want to space it wide enough too, folks, that if you're running like I am, I've got a trellis here, and this is the furthest point south in my garden. I want to make it sure it's far enough away from stuff, if I grow some shorter stuff on this side, that it's going to get plenty of sunlight. I don't want to shade it with my own crops and be detrimental to myself. That's something else you need to think of. I appreciate you joining me here today on Deep River Farm. Y'all have a blessed evening, and stay tuned for more videos on some gardening using the almanac, and especially this high-flying altitude stuff that these jet tankers, tanker jets, whatever you want to call them, are putting out on us. Have a blessed day.